You've moved your teeth, they're beautiful, they're straight, and now you need a retainer. You thinking about the permanent one? Let me tell you about it. First, it's called permanent retainer because it gets glued into place, but it's not really permanent in the sense that it can't come out. It can break, and you can actually, take it out if you take off the glue, your dentist or whoever. I've even seen people take out, it's crazy, take off their own braces. So, you can get this thing out if you want to. But what you do is, these are the top teeth, okay? You would put a wire behind your top teeth and you glue it. Sometimes you can glue it to each individual tooth. And it's a very thin wire, right? Very, very small wire. Sometimes it can be just one stainless steel wire. Sometimes it's like a twisted wire, very braided wire. Sometimes people use chain links, and they stretch it across those. Anyways, you can glue it on each tooth, or there's even the kind that you can, just glue. They've got like a pad. It looks like a bracket base, and you glue it on one side, and it has a bar that goes across, and then another pad, and you glue it there, so it's glued on two teeth. But anyways, that's why it's called a permanent retainer, because it can be glued in. But like I said, I don't like calling it a permanent retainer because it's not actually permanent. Here are the pros. Well, if you have a hard time remembering to put something in or having the discipline to put a retainer in, then maybe the permanent retainer is the right way to go because it stays in there 24/7. Another advantage of having a permanent retainer in place is individuals that begin with severely rotated teeth and or particularly those who have spaces in between their front teeth. They can be really big spaces or they can be kind of small spaces that you close up when you're using the braces or the Invisalign. Why is it important or why is it an advantage? Well, when you close all the space up, once you get the braces off or the Invisalign off, whatever you're using to close the space, well, that space can open up without any sort of retainer. And you're like, well, why don't I just use an Invisalign retainer or one of those traditional kinds, the Holly or the Rep with the wire in the front? You can, but most of the time, people start using those retainers at nighttime only, which means that during the day, you've got nothing in your mouth. What I've seen, and this could happen to you, is that a little bit of space just opens up during the day. Now you close it back up when you wear the retainer at night, but during the day, it pops open. So the way to try and prevent that or really, really minimize any space opening in the front, right, is to have the permanent retainer in place. So those are two big reasons, pros of getting the permanent retainer. I even knew somebody another colleague that put permanent retainers in all of her adolescence.
Are you serious?
All the kids that came through her office, and she says, hey, look, in college, I'll take it out if you want. A lot of people end up leaving it in place because you get used to it, and it's great. We don't do that here, but it's just there's definitely some wisdom behind it. Okay, so now the disadvantages of the permanent retainer. One is, this is sometimes the dentists, they don't like them because they get glued in behind these teeth. And if you can imagine having a wire right here, you can check out some of our other videos. When you have a wire right here, it's right by the gum tissue. And then, if you're trying to floss in between your teeth or food can get stuck on the wire, just like when you have braces. And if you're not good at cleaning, then, you can get some inflammation of the gums. Really, if you're really bad at cleaning, then I guess in theory, anything that's glued into place can act as a plaque trap. Plaque over time can lead to, yes, cavities, periodontal disease, things like that. Now, let me just add a caveat there. The research suggests that individuals who take care of their teeth, right, go see your dentist, brush well, floss, those permanent retainers don't actually cause cavities or periodontal disease. In theory, they could contribute to it, but if you're good at cleaning your teeth, then very, very low risk that actually happens to you. That's one of the disadvantages, hard to clean around. Second disadvantage, and this is the main reason why I wanted to share this, because there is a small risk. Can't say how large because they don't have specific numbers, but when you glue the retainer in, you glue the retainer in, what the orthodontist is trying to do is trying to get it to lay in passively behind your teeth. What that means is that kind of drop it into place. You don't have to twist it too hard or anything like that, because what happens if you have an active retainer, that means you bent the wire and it might, and you hold it in place, it might try to move back and it can move your teeth. You're like, I thought retainers were supposed to hold teeth still. Yes, they are. That's the idea behind the passive insertion. So here is an image of what can happen with a permanent retainer if there's a little bit of activation in the retainer. It wasn't passive enough. Okay, so there is a maxillary bonded retainer, the permanent retainer behind two teeth. All right, you're like, what happened to all the rest of the teeth? No, the other permanent teeth are coming into place. All right, they're erupting into place. So, but that's not what we're worried about right now. There is a permanent retainer, great, situation there. And there you go. Look how the angle of that tooth has changed, right? I mentioned that if you don't get the wire in there passively enough, it can actually put a force on your tooth and cause the tooth to move. It seems unlikely, but I guess possible that the tooth originally was moved and changed. And, when you're only hooked onto 2 teeth, or if you're just hooked onto 2 teeth, then, just having a permanent retainer connected to 2 teeth, it may not be able to hold everything perfectly straight because there's not a lot of anchorage, to connect. When you're connected to multiple teeth, it could just help try to hold things still. But maybe this tooth tried to rotate or move around where the glued wire is. But it seems like there's a chance, more likely, that there was an activation in this wire and it pulled that tooth out of alignment. So for those of you who are considering the permanent retainer, just be mindful that that is a possibility. Hopefully it doesn't happen to you. That's another reason why some orthodontists don't like putting the permanent retainer in, because it's hard to know for sure if there's any activation in the wire. You try to be as careful as you can and to avoid it, but monitor, right? Keep an eye out for those of you who have permanent retainers. Just check and make sure that nothing's moving on you still. Sometimes the crown looks like it's staying the same, but the root is actually moving, which could eventually lead to a deviation in the alignment. Another way to try to prevent this is if you are going to do the permanent retainer, you can do a clear retainer over the top. That can also help keep things straight if you can wear this at night. But then you're like, well, why don't I just get that instead? You could do that. Unless it's like they were one of those space cases. Or again, if you think that you're going to have issues wearing the retainer all the time, get the permanent one and then have the one over the top to try and help protect your teeth. Keep them straight, help maintain some width. Anyways, not hard and fast rules, just some ideas. Thought I wanted to share this with you because I know a lot of you out there, at least parents, are interested in that permanent retainer. It can be a great option. Definitely some pros, but also some cons. Be careful. Visit with your provider and see if there is a retainer option that might be best for you or your child. If you know somebody that's considering retainers, maybe the permanent one, share this with them. Like the video, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment below if you've had a permanent retainer, or maybe your tooth with the permanent retainer, or if you had a hard time cleaning with the permanent retainer, or if it's just been wonderful. I would love to know what's the longest somebody has kept in the permanent retainer. That'd be cool. Or if you're thinking about getting braces, straightening your teeth, beautifying your bite, let me know. Come find us. Well, that's all I've got. Just a little PFO, and so you know where you're going. Packard out.